Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another broadcast of Wealth and Wisdom with Fred Belcastro from the John DeVita Broadcast Center on the Windy City Hometown Entertainment Network and Jack FM 89.7 WRHS FM Norwich on Friday, December the 2nd, the year 2016. And now, here he is, Mr. Fred Belcastro.
When you're smiling, when you're smiling, when you're smiling, when you're smiling, and the whole world smiles with you. And when you're laughing, oh, you're laughing, when the sun comes shining through. When you're crying, you bring on the rain. Stop your sighing. Won't you be happy again? When you're smiling, keep on smiling. And the world will.
Good morning and welcome. Welcome to the Wealth and Wisdom program. My name is Fred Belcastro, your host. And during the next 30 minutes, we're going to talk about using wisdom to grow and protect our wealth. And of course, we're once again broadcasting from the John DeVita Broadcast Center here on the northwest side of Chicago. And you know you're listening to us this Friday morning on the Jack FM 89.7 WRHS out of Norwich, Illinois. As usual, you can reach us at area 630-673-4360. And like many of you prefer doing, send me an email at fbelsecure@aol.com. It's FBELSECURE@AOL.com. A lot of things to talk about in the Norwich area, the Harlem Irving Plaza. It's getting more and more difficult to drive down Harlem Avenue now with all the shoppers and all the activity that's going on. It's really nice to see so many people getting out and enjoying themselves at this time of the year. And as we usually say, it's nice to extend a helping hand to those less fortunate, those that may need. And it's not a one-day-a-year event. Some people need help all year round, and we should keep that in our minds as well. I'd like to talk about spending money, or maybe about not spending money. You know, we talk about having a model and having a picture in our mind about how our money actually flows from the time it enters our hands and until we consume it, and it's lost forever. And so often in these times, around this time of the year, we talk about consuming money, spending money, but at the same time saving money, because every one of these establishments or every one of these stores, we can save money by buying something. Now, I really don't know how you could save by spending. I've been in the business a while, and whenever I hear somebody saying that they wrote a check for X number of dollars and saved so much money, my friends and close clients, I'd ask, well, where's the money that you saved? What'd you do with it? Where's the savings? What do we do with the savings? I think it just is recycled like so much of the water in our climate. It just goes away and we never see it again. And that's what I mean when I say consumed and lost forever. One of the things that we should be discussing is the 4 C's of creating wealth. The C's. I mean the C's having to do in use and control. Than the liquidity of our money, control. We know that if we don't have control of our money, if we give it to someone else for them to control, we lose that right. We lost the liquidity of our money. And that's not how you create wealth, by losing control. One of the things that we've talked about through the years has been compounding. One of the C's, compounding of interest. And forget the interest, how about compounding our money? We know that by looking at the tables, it doesn't skyrocket until maybe about the 18th or 20th year. Well, how many of us then, in our present method of warehousing dollars or accumulating money, could afford to leave it accumulate and compound for that length of time? Oh, I know that some of the answers are going to be, well, I have money in my 401 and my IRA, and it compounds. I haven't touched that money. But if that money's in the yellow tank, and I call the yellow tank the risk tank, if our money is in mutual funds, stocks, bonds, and vehicles like that, it's subject to fluctuation. And if it can go down 5%, 10% any given year, how is that compounding? And when it does recover, when the fund does recover, how about the money we lost? And we have individuals now saying that, yeah, I lost 30% or 38% or 40 or 50% in my IRA or my 401 several years ago when the S&P and the market dropped. But I've come back from that. I've recaptured the gain. But how about the money you've lost in there? Where's the compounding? There is no compounding. You see, if you have a fluctuation, how can it compound? Compounding is building on building on building. If you have a loss, you're not building. So you've lost the effect of true compounding. And then, of course, we run the risk of just making purchases without considering the cost, and I'll mention that in a few minutes, without the collateral capacity. A lot of people, when I talked about that or when I bring that up in conversations, will not even know what I'm referring to. The collateral capacity, and that keeps our money compounding, and that keeps our money in our control. And when we do that, we discover, we reveal, we give ourselves an understanding of creating money, creating the wealth, and we create the wealth because we have a personal economic model. And if you don't have it, it's not something you put on the dining room table or put on the mantle or on your dresser. It's a personal economic model. It's something that you understand because you've created it, you cultivate it, and you keep your money and your wealth in a tax efficient manner. If you don't do that, if you don't understand those things, you don't understand the creation of an economic model and keep your wealth in a tax-efficient manner, you're going to be living, you tend to live then paycheck to paycheck. And by a tax-efficient manner, Hayek wrote a book some time ago, and it's been gone over and over and over in economics and in banking, called the Road to Serfdom. And we all recognize the word serfs. Serfs were then indentured individuals or people that had to work and give up 20 or 30 or 40% of their farm supplies generally to the landowner. Well, we pretty much do that now, don't we? Don't we pay taxes 25-30% and the tax on this and that? A couple of years ago, we did a program on all the taxes that are involved with an individual. There's 100 taxes, a tremendous amount of taxes that we all pay from every time we take money out of our pocket. Part of that, those dollars or those pennies or whatever it is, are going to pay some form of a tax. So when we look and see that we're in a marginal 19%, 20%, 25% income bracket, we look when we make a tax return. It's not just that. The tax on the gasoline, the food, the cigarettes, the items that we buy at the stores. Now they're gonna tax pop or soft drinks. They're gonna tax that, and I understand they're gonna tax paper bags or plastic bags or something like that. These nickels and dimes all lead us on the road again, as the song says, on the road again, but it's on the road to serfdom. So we've got to keep our dollars growing in the most tax-efficient manner. And if we don't, we're going to find ourselves like the serfs, just living from harvest to harvest, from paycheck to paycheck. So it's important then to know what the true cost of buying is. What's that cost us? And when we have a revolving card or charge, what's that rate of the debt? How much are we giving up? When I talk about people in and what I do for a living, and I tell them, it's nothing exciting. It's nothing as romantic as King Solomon's Mines with Stuart Granger and Deborah Kerr. I say that rather than romancing what we do, there's more opportunity. First of all, there's more opportunity to serve my people by first helping them avoid the losses than trying to pick the winners. If we're paying close to 50%, 60% of our dollars on taxes and lost opportunity costs, that's a tremendous amount of dollars. We'll look at some examples. Maybe this week we'll get to it, or next week. But it's difficult for me to sit down with a client and look you in the eye, and you're going to tell me that you'd like to get in this environment maybe 3 or 4 or 7% on your money, and I could look and see that you're putting out 20% is being lost in these transfers. Do you really want me to help you by giving you 4% when you're losing 20%, and I just turn my back on that? You see, I know that you would like it better. Hey, I got something that's 4-6%. I'm making 6-8%. All that gibberish that we've heard about how much money people are making, and they're throwing away half their incomes. Take a look at what you're earning and what your capacity is for earning a living. You're going to earn more than a couple of $1 million in your lifetime. Add some interest to that, you're talking $6, $8, $10 million. And then we wind up on Social Security. 70% of the people that are retiring today wind up on just Social Security. What happened to that money? Who stole it from us? Who took it? See, we gave it away because we don't understand how money works. You go to the bank, I say the game of tic-tac-toe. Remember the simple game of tic-tac-toe we learned in study hall? I know we should have been studying, but we're bending around, we're talking. At lunchtime, we're talking, and we get this game tic-tac-toe. You draw some lines, and the person that showed it to us said, the object of the game is to get 3 in a row, and that's the win. Here, I'll start by going here, and we'd play along until we finally figured out that there was a strategy involved in winning that simple game of tic-tac-toe. And yeah, there are strategies involved. Now, do people teach you the strategy? Very, very, very seldom. We can walk into any one of the banks down Harlem Avenue or anywhere else in the world. Do they teach you about money? Oh, listen, I know that they're going to have seminars. They have seminars that are product orientated. They'll tell you, here's how you could make money. Buy this. Here's how you could create a fortune by buying a product. And remember, I talked about these products are synonymous with what we might call as clubs in the game of golf. Yeah, you need a club, you need a product, but first, shouldn't we be concerned about the strategy of making and keeping our money? We talked about retirement. I say that this model I talk about all the time, a test for all seasons, we say it should be good under any set of circumstances. If you have a model and it's going to work, it's got to work no matter what happens in the future. So then I talk to individuals the first time out about the retirement ready or not. Retirement ready or not merely means that on your dollars, what rate of return are you getting? What rate of return do you need to earn on your savings, your investment dollars as well, to be able to retire at your present standard of living? And have enough money, though. Say anybody could retire. A friend of mine sent me an email, say he has all the money he needs, providing he just lives for this week. But do you have enough money to last you through your life expectancy? Do you know the answer to that question? You see, and if the response is you're not sure, you should know. Would you like to know? This is just a foothold and an understanding of the money and where we are when we sit down with some of these things. And how much do we need to save on a monthly or annual basis, or put it in our 401 or pump up into one of our savings tanks to be able to retire at our current standard of living? And will your money last? Oh, your pension plan, everything is fine. I do an awful lot of business with the retired public service officers and city employees. But one of the questions that comes up and saying, well, what happens to your pension when you die? Well, my wife, here's the response. You ready for this? My wife gets half. No, your wife gets half. Why are you living on half? You say, we wouldn't settle for half. They take away our Social Security benefits and lump them in with our guaranteed pension that we've paid for and worked for. But we don't want to live on half. And that may have been a good way of thinking, or solved the problem years ago, maybe 40 or 50 years ago when we started in this business, is saying, well, she doesn't need as much. But today the medical expenses are costing some of my clients $2,000 a month. $2,000 a month is $25,000. I know it's 24. $25,000 a year per near. That's a lot of money. When we started in this business, people were making $7,000, $8,000 a year and considering themselves fortunate. Now we're paying $25,000 just for hospitalization insurance? How about the next 10 or 15 or 20 years? You want to live for 30 years? You want to see what that rate will be 30 years from now? And she's going to get just half? So now do we have an economic model that lasts, that works in all venues, in all environments? It doesn't. Well, maybe we should take a look at that. But maybe I should take a sip of coffee and hear what Mr. Martino has to say.
So near, ever close to my heart, so darling, say that you care, take this heart, I give gladly, sure.
Welcome back, and now we're listening to Here in My Heart by Mr. El Martino from 1952, and of course we can recognize that voice anywhere and the strength in that voice. Once again, our number is area 630-673-4360. The email address is fbellsecure@aol.com. I've got to mention, every holiday, every season, the studio is decorated. And now I'm looking at stars that are lit up, and I'm looking at the garland with lights and ornaments hanging from the ceiling, and the trees lit. I mean, they do everything here at this broadcast center, John DeVita's broadcast center, to make it comfortable, enjoyable, and very festive for all the personnel, the individuals like myself who are broadcasting out of this studio. So once again, not only for the direction, not only does Mr. John DeVita keep me between the lines, and I can see one of the computers that he has here, and his job, he tells me, is to keep my modulation through the lines. I was watching it while Mr. Martino was singing that song, and it was pretty steady. And now I look at it, it's all over the place. And I don't know how he can keep me between the lines because of the rant and raving. I don't know really what does it. That's the technical end of it. But getting back to what we're talking about in the retirement ready or not, how are we doing? How are we doing as far as work is concerned? Will we be able to retire and live at our current lifestyle? And I say lifestyle rather than dollars. Years ago, we talked about the dollars necessary to create a lifestyle. But with inflation, I run the inflation tables per individual. And sometimes I'll use what year did you graduate high school? And we'll go from high school to the present date, or we'll go from the date of your marriage until the present date, and we'll see. It's not like 2.5% or 3%. Sometimes it's 4.5%. It's some big numbers in there, and then we don't even want to add prescriptions and medical expense and costs onto that because it's astronomical. It just blows the figures right out of the water, as they say, but certainly out of proportion. So if we figure a 3% compounded rate of return, I mean an inflation factor, you can see what that does to the numbers out 10 and 15 and 20 years from now. Remember what I talked about, the compounding? Well, that number compounds. That's a compounding number, and it really takes off and skyrockets 18, 20 years from now. So if you're 65, that puts you around 82, 83 years old, and turn your pockets inside out because we don't have any more money if we plan the old way, the old-fashioned way. So retirement ready or not is very effective and a very necessary vehicle for us to come up with accurate figures. But if we don't do anything different than what we're doing now, how much will we have to reduce our standard of living? We do that too in the program, and we bring the dollars back. Maybe we'll kick them out 15, 20, 25 years, and then we'll bring the dollars back by saying in today's dollars, this is what the purchase is. And if we're used to living on $60,000 a year net now, when we look at that 15, 20 years from now, it's to be like we're living on 15 or 20. And can we do that with the expenses that we anticipate? And the answer is, of course, no. So it's very important to have a model, know what we're doing, and know what and understand what we're doing. Before we do anything, before we drive down Harlem Avenue, listen, enjoy the holidays. But this has nothing to do with the holidays. I'm talking about, look, January, February, somewhere along the line, we've got to wake up to what we're doing before we do any spending of money. Before you spend anything, first consider the cost. Not just to walk into a store and say, oh, the price is $330, oh, that's good. But not just that, but how about the opportunity cost? How about the interest expense? How about the carrying charges? What are the opportunity costs on that? If we were to keep that money in our pockets and earn 2 or 3%, that's the total cost. Add those charges up and see what it really costs us. And because it's not just what we pay for it, but it's how we pay for it that's going to make the difference. And I talk and I joke, and the fellows know, debtor saver, wealth creator, debtor saver, wealth creator. And I say, well, what are you talking about? And I said, well, this is how we buy and how we borrow, how we pay for major purchases. And now it's not even the major purchases. We used to talk about a major purchase as an automobile, or planning for a wedding, or saving for our children's higher education. Now it's for grade school. I got there's ladies and clients that are working just to keep the tuition payments going for the kids, maybe at IC or at any of the other schools or at Res. I mean, these things are all costing us more and more dollars. No, my wife went to Dollarado and Stanislaus Kostka, and I think that it was like 65 cents a week. She had this little book. Then she paid the tuition at Catholic school by a week. It isn't that. It ain't that no more, my friends. So debtor, saver, wealth creator. How are we doing? You know, a debtor. Let me just explain before we take another break. A debtor, you go into debt. You post the purchases on installment payments, and then you pay the interest, and then you give up the opportunity cost, and then you find yourself constantly doing that. Or you want to save, you save up the money, then you make a purchase, and then you delay the purchase until you're able to pay for it in full. And a lot of people do that and say, I saved the interest, and you go, what? Let's take a look. You're giving up the interest. What are you doing with your compounding? Every time you make a purchase, you drain the safe tank, you drain your tank, and then save again for the next 4 or 5 years. We'll cover that maybe in the weeks to come. And the wealth creator, we all want to be wealth creators. We're doing fine. We're on top of the world, Ma. Well, let's see how many of us are really creating wealth. But before we get into that, let's see what Miss Stafford has to say.
Summer's day, in everything that's light and gay, I'll always think of you that way. I'll find you in the morning sun, and when the night is new, I'll be looking at the moon, but I'll be seeing you.
All right, that was I'll Be Seeing You by Miss Jo Stafford from 1944, during the war, when people were saying hello and, of course, maybe goodbye to one another. What a sad song. Well, I for those of you that know me, I like swing. I like the doo-wops. I like the platters and some of these. But this is Jo Stafford. That was a very downer song as far as I'm concerned. I usually like to have it a little bit more upbeat. All right, talking about how do we make our purchases, our major capital purchases. We could either go into debt, we could save, and then, of course, make the purchase, or we could be a little bit smarter and do what I call a wealth creator. I'll get into those. Talk about how people buy and borrow and pay for their purchases. But sometimes you say, well, what do we mean by major purchases? And I mentioned just prior to us taking that break, it's something that you can't pay for in full from the weekly or from just in general our monthly cash flow. It's maybe a car or a wedding. You know, it's certainly not a peanut wedding, certainly not the type of wedding that we're used to, the old peanut wedding where we'd have beef sandwiches, rent a hall, and play records. Now it costs quite a bit of money to get married, I guess. And it costs quite a bit of money to get divorced. So I guess it kind of evens out. But the first thing we'll do, I think, when we come back next week is to see how we buy things. You know, how we work to spend and spend to work. Well, our time is just about up, and I want to thank you for listening. And I'd like to thank you for the support that you've given Jack FM. I know you tune in regularly to 89.7 here in the Norridge and Harwood Heights and Chicagoland area, and we're very grateful for that. The people at this station and this broadcast center do an excellent job and take their jobs and their the things that they do very seriously. These are professionals, and it's run quite well. So thanks for your support. Thank you for listening. Hope to talk to you again next week. And in the meantime, let's do something good for somebody and make somebody smile, huh? Thanks for listening. Talk to you again next week.
When you're smiling, when you're smiling, when you're smiling, when you're smiling, and the whole world smiles with you. And when you're laughing, oh, you're laughing, when the sun comes shining through. When you're crying, you bring on the rain. Stop your sighing. Won't you be happy again? When you're smiling, keep on smiling, and the world will smile with you. Let's go now.
You have been listening to Wealth and Wisdom with Fred Belcastro from the John DeVita Broadcast Center on Jack FM 89.7 WRHS FM Norwich and the Windy City Hometown Entertainment Network on Friday, December the 2nd, the year 2016. This broadcast was directed by John DeVita. Our special thanks to radio station manager Kevin Zeflik of WRHS FM Norwich and the executive producer of Windy City Hometown Entertainment Network, Mr. John Chikanda. Until next time, please be safe and thanks for listening. Today's broadcast was pre-recorded on Wednesday, November the 30th, the year 2016. And this is Jack Frost FM 89.7 WRHS FM, Norwich, Illinois. Have a safe and enjoyable weekend, friends. See you next week.